Well, JB pole in the new Mustang, that's a great start.
Well, it is a great start. The guys have worked really hard to get it ready, and it didn't turn a wheel till last Wednesday, so I think we may have been a little optimistic in our tyre choice. We ran a fairly soft tyre because the weather's so cold, and I mean, I guess that enabled us to put it on pole, but I think in the race, probably the tyres will wilt, but it's early days for it, and I'm really very happy to be involved with it. It's a great little car.
So, riding with Mark King, the reigning Australian GT Production Car Championship. That's your pull-right-in car. And also Matt Coleman in the VW Beetle RSI, the sensational new 2.8-litre V6 front-wheel drive Beetle.
Welcome return for the Mustang to racing here in Australia, and in dominant style too, taking pole a 105.66 for John Bauer from Wayne Boatwright on the front row.
Yeah, very tight in qualifying all the way through. Peter Floyd, Ed Aitken further back in the HSV 300-kilowatt Commodores. And then the first of the Class B mans, Wayne Russell. Bit of a surprise in the BMW by about 1/10 of a second from Anthony Robson in the Toyota MR2, and then Nathan Thomas about 0.5 of a second further back in the Honda Integra Type R.
Matt Coleman, who we rode with before in the second of the VW Beetles from position 28, and further back David Ratcliffe as well. We'll keep an eye on him debuting the brand new Celica.
Mark King coming up to his grid position now, so almost set for a start.
Big V8 roaring in the hands of John Bauer. Wayne Boatwright blasts off the line though in the Subaru. Bob Pearson in the background there in the Mazda RX-7 getting a great start, but Bowie has been swamped off the line in the Mustang. Bob Pearson in all sorts of trouble. Wow, he's copped a big cloud in the back of the Mazda RX-7.
Yeah, it looked like Gary Dean was involved in that. And I think also Trevor Haynes was caught out of one of the yellow Subaru STIs. It might have been actually Jimmy Stewart, but one of them certainly caught out. Pearson now trying to fire the car up and get going again.
Colin Osborne in trouble as well in the Toyota Celica. So Cameron McConville, it's all happened before they even got to the first corner.
Well, I think John Bauer's slow start, there's a red flag too, so they've decided to stop the race to clear the cars out of the way. But I think Bowie's slow start may have caused a little bit of confusion, cars scurrying to get around him, and unfortunately that was the end result.
Let's have a look at the replay. This is Mark King, Gary Dean just ahead of him. King goes up behind Dean. Dean and Pearson come together quite clear there. King goes through the middle, and it appears 2 or 3 more have been caught up in it, and that's of course brought out the red flag.
The view from Matty Coleman's VW, and he's copped a hit as well.
I think that's actually out of the corner there, Rusty, so he got turned around. Yes, that was maybe Colin Osborne, contact there, and he'll make up some spots now. That's been red flag.
So this is the race restart. Away we go. Boatwright gets away brilliantly. So too, look at Mark King, and some of them diving up the inside on the grass there. So Bow again has had trouble getting this car off the line. They have got some stickier tyres on this car to try and cope with the cold conditions, and Bow did a very successful 2-day test in the lead up to this round in the car, but they're still coming to grips with it.
Well, Pearson in the Mazda RX-7 had to start from pit lane after a great effort in qualifying. Qualified 4th fastest in the Mazda RX-7. 4 different manufacturers in the top 4, but a sensational debut again for the new John Bauer Ford Mustang. Although, Cam, it looks like he's still got problems getting the car off the line.
Yes, he has. Oh, Matt Coleman there just let one of the Hondas through on the inside. But look, John hasn't had an opportunity to do a practice start or many of them, so I'm sure he'll get that sussed out without too many more races.
Given the nature of the layout here at Wakefield Park, I guess it's no real surprise to see the turbocharged 4-wheel drive Japanese cars up front.
That's right, a lot of tight, twisty corners, Rusty, so getting the power down is essential, and you could see that off the start line. The Subaru just absolutely slingshotted off the line.
Oh, Mark King! Big trouble for Mark King.
Lost it.
Bob Hughes is involved in that too, so...
Rotten luck for the local driver who knows this track so well. Was very quick in practice, Bob Hughes. And the reigning champ, that is how his first race of the weekend will end.
Yeah, bad luck for Mark King. Qualified inside the top 5. Hughes also did well. He's had a lot of setup time around Wakefield Park by Rick Bates in this car. It's an Evo 6. It's the later model than the Mark King car, so also not Bob Hughes' weekend.
Just looking at that incident, I think Mark King may have sort of brought himself undone there. He was certainly looking to go down the inside, but there really wasn't a spot. Ran into the back, and let's have a look here.
Hey, Jerry!
Well, that's Matty Coleman, and he is not happy in the slightest with whoever is in behind him. Now, perhaps with the yellow flags out, let's have a look at this. This is King.
Yeah, just went down the inside, was trying to have a look into the right-hander turn 1, went in a bit hot, lost it, and came across, and look at the heavy contact there. I'd say that was just a little bit over-exuberant into turn 1. Probably wasn't a big enough hole to go through on the inside there. Look, there's the contact. straight into the back of Hughes. The car spins around, contact on the way through, and that was just a little bit over-exuberant, I think, on behalf of Mark King, and he'd be disappointed because it's ended his race.
So safety car is out to bring the field under control again. Thrifty safety car, sensational new Magna VRX.
The car pulling off, so we're getting set for a race restart here at Wakefield Park. Wayne Boatwright from Brett Peters. So Boatwright leads the field onto the front straight here, and racing is underway. Philip Polides, who did a terrific job on the streets of Adelaide just a couple of weeks ago, is the first of the V8, well, the second of the V8 runners. JB is ahead of him in the Mustang, but the first of the Commodore drivers.
Yeah, I guess no real surprise that the four-wheel drives around here, particularly with the cool air. Also, we'll be getting a bit more horsepower, a bit more boost due to the low ambient engine temperatures, but no real surprise that these cars are super quick around here. A great performance from Boatwright up the front. Gary Dean just behind him, then Brett Peters. Boatwright had a win at an Orient Park round of the GTP Series last year, and this is a car that's really come on form.
It's a confidence-boosting effort here for him as well, because he had some engine problems in the lead-up to this round, so they appear to have cured those. Gary Dean doing a terrific job there in second position, and can't speak highly enough either of Brett Peters' performance. Yeah,
Brett Peters is doing well. Dean in the car that's crewed by Rod Dawson and the boys at Lakeside. Matty Coleman now with, it looks like it's Alan Shepard in the Honda Integra Type R, but just behind him.
Well, let's see if Matty can concentrate on the job up front. He's certainly doing well to keep that Honda behind him. You can see contact or marks on the front rather of that Honda. So, whoa! He's turned him around. Matty will not be happy.
And again, Matty is very angry. So perhaps Shepard was the one he was talking about earlier. We couldn't quite see who was behind him.
We heard what he had to say.
Yeah.
A very clear message to back off, and obviously Shepard continued to hound him all the way through the race.
We should get down to the VW pits after this race, I think.
So John Bow now starting to in fact fall further back through the field. He's just been wrapped up by Phil Kirkham's Mazda RX-7, so I'd suggest that Bow may well have a problem in the Mustang. He's lapping nowhere near his qualifying times. He's some 2.5, 3 seconds off.
Actually, it's interesting that you say that, because the last time he came past us here in the commentary boxes, Alexander goes off. That was a bit of a concertina, wasn't it?
It certainly was. You can see John Bow ran into the back of Kirkham, and there may have been contact up front, and from Kirkham that was, and he went straight off the road. But John Bow is certainly struggling for speed, but I just wonder if he's just struggling to find a way past.
Let's have a look at the replay. Alexander in front, then Kirkham. Bow gives Kirkham a nice old serve. In turn, Kirkham pushes Alexander well and truly offline. Phil Polides in the yellow Commodore sitting behind these three, taking it all in. But again, Bow has been swallowed up.
Yeah, difficult to tell. It does sound like the car may be missing in some way. I wonder if it's dropped a cylinder or something along those lines. But Bow typically is pressing on here, and he's been passed by the Commodore and Polides, so no longer the fastest of the V8s, and Aitken's gotten by him now as well. So still, though, it's been a stunning debut performance, and great to see the Cobra back in action.
Yeah, this is a what they call a Mustang Cobra-RA. 300 Cobra-Rs were built in the American market. The RA is the Australian delivered version. These will be built and sold by Ford in Australia as road cars. This is effectively the first one that's been built, backed by Budweiser, and very much a full-on Ford manufacturer effort in GTP with this Mustang.
Shane Jenner sitting in 14th position. Harry Morecambe there in 13th. Bow continues this defensive run that he's doing here, Cam, but it must be tough if the car's struggling.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, and he's also trying to attack to make up spots, and you'd really need to have the horsepower down the straight to draw alongside to make a move under braking. He can't do that, so he's really just got to be a little bit of a sitting duck and really just get some points in race one here.
This is Phil Polides, the man that won race one at the first round of the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Championship at Adelaide. Boatwright's in trouble.
So I wonder what has happened there. He's slowed dramatically. He was leading this race. That'll hand it to Gary Dean. So Wayne Boatwright is in all sorts of bother here. That is rotten luck for him.
Yeah, parking the car, so I'd say some kind of mechanical failure in the car.
Looked like the back wheels were actually, or the right rear was locked there, so it could be some sort of drivetrain problem being an all-wheel drive car.
So new race leader Gary Dean from Queensland in the PMM Subaru WRX STI. Being chased now by Brett Peters. It's been quite some time. In fact, Barry Morecambe also had problems, or having problems with his Holden Commodore as well.
He's had a tough start to the season at both Adelaide and now problems here at Wakefield Park. So rotten luck for Morecambe, who has switched to V8 power this year after spending most of his time behind the wheel of a turbocharged Mazda RX-7 last season. Good performance here. Look at this, Russell under siege. Up the inside of him comes Nathan Thomas in the Quirks Refrigeration Honda, and promptly Russell goes back.
Well, we'll have to have a look at the straight line power here. BMW against the Honda, and the BMW is doing very well. And you can see also the Evo, was it the Lancer, coming out of the draft. That will have more power than all three of them, but can't quite make it through. That looks like Gilbert, is it, in the Castor Gilbert machine there. A little bit off the Class A pace, but still having a good dive in amongst these smaller cars.
This is a great battle for Class B, the sports touring class. So now the Integra goes to the lead. Russell trying to hang around the outside, and running third in the red and white car just behind these two is Nathan Pilkington in the Mitsubishi FTO V6.
Gee, Thomas is really throwing this car around in a bid to hang on to that class lead. Not too far in behind them, interestingly, was Anthony Robson as well, who dominated the class in the second race in Adelaide. So we'll see how he goes. Perhaps waiting for a mistake from either of those guys.
Your race leader, Brett Peters, has now gone to the lead in the Subaru STI. In fact, Michael Brock in the Evo 5 has moved through to second. Gary Dean has dropped back to third.
Yeah, we caught a quick shot of him there just a few moments ago. I wonder what's happened to Gary Dean. So he's dropped back to third position and is staging a bit of a fight back, but up in front, a new race leader.
Bob Pearson also staging a bit of a fight back in the Mazda RX-7. Fastest lap so far, 106.9. So he's certainly coming back through the field. In fact, he's 2.5 seconds under the lap record.
So Pearson is certainly flying. So too is Brett Peters as he heads for home in the Panasonic Subaru WRX. Just ahead of him here, Peter Boylan in the Quirks Refrigeration BMW. Second meeting in that brand new car, and it's going quite well for Peter. But Brett Peters is the man who's going to take this race out. Sensational performance. Brock will get home in second, but it's a Subaru that takes it out.
Yeah, great to see a newcomer have a win such as Brett Peters, and good to see Subaru back at the front of the field too in GDP, which has really been dominated pretty much by the HSVs and Evo 5s, I suppose, for the last 2 or 3 races. But 4 different manufacturers in the top 4 in qualifying, and a pretty mixed bunch at the front of the field also in this race. John Bow, the Bud Mustang, coming through now to take the checkered flag, and it looks like Wayne Russell will take the win in the sports touring class from Nathan Thomas in the Honda Integra. Just behind him, Nathan Pilkington in the V6 and Anthony Robson in the Toyota MR2 to come through in 4th in Class B. So great move for the Century Batteries GD Production Car Championship here at Wakefield Park this weekend. Peters the race winner from Michael Brock, then Gary Dean, Phil Kirkham, good result for him in the Mazda RX-7 to finish 4th. Polides, Knight, Ed Aitken and Peter Floyd rounding out the top 8. First home in the Hippie Sports Touring class, good result from Wayne Russell in the BMW, from Nathan Thomas and Nathan Pilkington in the Mitsubishi FTO V6, down to Greg Rust.
Well, but I guess it was a case of good management, but also a bit of luck needed out there.
Sure was, Greg. It was rough and tough there for a while. There was cars going everywhere. As you know, we had the restart, and I thought they'd all settle down after that, but they didn't, so I kept my nose clean and, yeah, got up near the front and then just chipped away at them.
The talking point yesterday was the Mustang getting pole, but the talking point now, I guess, is how well the four-wheel drive might be suited to Wakefield Park.
Well, yeah, we knew that. Qualifying, I was very disappointed after Friday, but we knew that we could get a good start. Did in Adelaide too. The four-wheel drives just absolutely rocket off the line, so yeah, it was great.
Congratulations, mate.
Thank you.
Got a lot of work to do, Mark King, from the rear of the grid. That's the view from our trackside onboard camera. 1 of 2. That'll bring you all the pictures during this race. Matthew Coleman, gee, he's been vocal this afternoon. Pretty angry, wasn't he, in the first race of the day?
Brett Peters will start from pole position in car 26 in the Subaru. Michael Brock, Evo 5 alongside. Then Gary Dean, Phil Kirkham. Phil Polides first at the Commodores, and Steve Knight alongside him.
Wayne Russell, terrific job so far today in the BMW in Class B. Nathan Thomas will throw out a real challenge to him, and so too will Nathan Pilkington.
Another big field here at Wakefield Park. Anthony Robson, Colin Osborne, Alan Shepherd, Tim Lay in the VWB RSI, then Peter Boylan, then Matty Coleman.
A couple of cars with some dramas in race 1. Barry Morecambe was one of them, so too Wayne Boatwright. It's a big crowd here this weekend, lining the very perimeter of the Wakefield Park circuit, more than 10,000 across the 2 days.
Okay, set for a start here at Wakefield Park, and Brett Peters on pole. Gets away well. Gary Dean just behind him. Michael Brock on the outside. Phil Kirkham also up there in the Mazda RX-7. And Phil Polides, the big yellow HSV 300 kilowatt Commodore.
Yellow flags being waved there as we welcome Cameron McConville to the commentary box. Looks like Steve Knight may have stalled.
Yeah, there's certainly a car stalled there on the grid, and it hasn't moved anywhere. So they're going to have to clear that out in a real hurry. If they can't move it, they'll have to bring the safety car out.
So this will be tight on the first lap. Bob Hughes, Mark King also starting from the back of the field along with Wayne Boatwright, John Bow, middle of the field in the brand new Cobra-RA Mustang. As Mark King closes on the back of one of the VWs.
Put yourself in Mark's shoes here.
Well, you just have to be very, very careful to keep your nose clean. The worst thing that he can do is try and risk getting through this traffic and getting tangled again. He needs to get points, and he's up behind the Volkswagen of Matthew Coleman, so he doesn't want to get involved in an incident there.
So Boylan on the inside, Dennis Gilbert on the outside, Matty Coleman's V-dub. Interesting comparison here between the straight inline 6-cylinder BMW and, of course, the V6 VW Beetle RSI.
Boylan really trying very hard, dips the left rear wheel off the black stuff and onto the dirt. The race being led by Peters, who did a terrific job in race 1, but it's a little darker here at the moment, and I've seen a couple of little spots of rain on our cameras, so we'll just have to keep an eye on the weather during this one.
Kirkham has a look down the inside of Dean. Pilates just sitting behind these two. John Bow had a problem with the Mustang in the earlier race today. This is a replay off the start. Riding with Matty Coleman, his teammate Timmy Lay just ahead of him.
Let's look for the storm car. There it is. Oh, gee, he went close. And Tim Lay was probably blocking his view there, so maybe they got on the radio and told him to go left. Unfortunately, there was just enough room for the Volkswagen to get through. Lucky it wasn't a big Commodore or Falcon.
Bow's Mustang dropped on to 7 cylinders in the earlier race today, so it'll be interesting to watch his charge back through the field.
Mark King and Hughes going at it, hammer and tong. Keep in mind, they had a coming together in race 1. Problems there for Nathan Thomas. He's run off, and that's really going to hurt his battle in Class B. He was right with Wayne Russell, dicing all the way to the end of race 1, but he's lost a stack of track position there.
Yeah, he's done some great things in that car too since he's jumped into it. Back at the front of the field, though, the battle is on. Michael Brock. Well, I don't know where that line goes. Straight to the pits by the look of it. So Brock's got some kind of problem with the Evo 5.
I just wonder whether there's a stop-go penalty there, Craig, because I saw a black flag just being shown, but they were all in a big pack, so it was hard to see who it was for. I'd say it would be for Michael Brock.
Bow in the Mustang, down the inside of Peter Floyd, this sensational car, number 9, that carries the same number as Alan Moffat's famous Mustang when it first raced in Australia. And Bow now motivating a lot quicker than what he was in the earlier race today.
He certainly is. Look at the way this car is, the speed that it's carrying, now down the inside of Kirkham. So Bow is really on a charge here in the Budweiser Mustang. Sideways on the exit of that corner. It's a big car to muscle around a track like this.
Well, it certainly is, and the question is, will it last the distance as far as tyres are concerned? Now, they haven't done a full race run yet, even though they have done quite a bit of testing, so we'll just have to see whether John Bow can sustain that pace for the whole race.
Mark King of the Delphi Evo 5, the man that wrapped up the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Car Championship last year in the final round at Sandown Park when he defeated Rick Shaw. Shaw went on to finish second in the back of the field of the sports touring class. Again, we look at these sensational new VW Beetle RSIs, and to celebrate their involvement in GDP this year, Volkswagen are going to give all our trackside fans the opportunity to win the brand new 1.8-litre VW Beetle later on this year.
Spent a bit of time with Greg Siddle, Tim Lay and Matt Coleman earlier today over in that massive marquee that the VW team have got. It's an incredible effort, the way that they're getting behind this championship. Robson here.
This is the battle for second and third in the class. Now Lay goes through for third, so you'll find that it's Wayne Russell leading. Pilkington tries to come back at him a little lefty-o. He's a pretty impressive driver, young Nathan Pilkington. He's fairly new to GTP. He's done a lot of sort of club car racing and has really got this car truly wound up.
A light, nimble car like that, Cam, you should be able to really throw it around the Wakefield Park circuit.
Well, it'll be a lot of fun to drive around here because there's a lot of tight left and right-hand corners. And there, we're back at John Bow at the lead, who has gone past Brett Peters. And
so that's a change of position there. Bow's done a terrific job, hasn't he? What a contrast too. We're watching some of the smaller B-class cars and the way that Bow is straight lining this car around the circuit, and it's paying dividends.
Well, John Bow's very good at doing that, but you really need to around here in a big heavy car like the Mustang. Use the curve, straight line the corners as much as possible, and he's come right through and got that car into the lead. Fantastic debut.
Graham Alexander just ahead of Mark King, so King's done well to come back inside pretty much the top 12 at the moment. Bow's just that fastest lap though, 1:05.6, the same as his qualifying pole position lap time. So again, King, Aitken down the inside in the HSV 300 kilowatt car.
You can hear the way that that car pops and bangs the Mitsubishi Lancer, just the way that the car is set up. Very contrasting sound to this, the awesome V8 of the Ford Mustang Cobra. Gee, it sounds fantastic, and Bow, they are going to be hard-pressed to beat him here.
Yeah, 4.6-litre quad-cam V8. Probably not quite as much kilowatt as the Holden Commodore, but certainly they've got the cornering, braking capabilities around the same weight as the Commodore, so it's carrying a fair bit of weight.
Ed Aiken Winner at Bathurst in My Accessory, HSV, GDS. Doing a good job.
Good to see young Dave Wood up there too in the Honda S2000 doing a fabulous job, the little yellow sports car.
Back aboard Mark King, chasing Alexander.
Well, that noise you can hear on board there, that popping in the corner when he comes off the accelerator, that's the anti-lag working on a turbo car like this. So it sounds terrible, but it's actually far quicker to run an anti-lag system on the turbos in those Lancer Evos.
Alexander is still ahead of the defending champion King. We caught a quick shot further up the road from these guys of Bob Pearson, who was spun around in that opening race. He's doing very well here at the moment in the second race of round 2 of the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Car Championship.
Yeah, Pearson's had a great comeback, Rusty, considering the problems he had off the grid in race 1 today. In fact, he's inside the top 5 now in the Mazda RX-7.
Keep in mind, too, he suffered a major crash in testing his V8 supercar some time ago at Oran Park, so it's great to have him back and campaigning in motorsport once again. Kirkham here in all sorts of dramas.
Anton Metchler also has got problems with his Evo 5.
Now, he's not rejoining the circuit, so that is obviously terminal in some way. So rotten luck for Anton Metchler, who this season is making the step up from a Toyota MR2 to that Mitsubishi Lancer. We are on our way home. What a marvellous debut for all the team at Prancing Horse Racing and John Bowe, and great to have the Ford Cobra back in action. And what a winning way to start its return to racing. John Bowe on course for victory.
Absolutely, running Pirelli tyres, and you can tell Cameron McConville by the body language of the car, he's still giving it a fair old caning.
Well, I think he wants to get through this traffic because Brett Peters isn't that far away. Look, in fact, he's gained a lot of time there. Brett Peters, a very experienced driver, but Bowie's going to hang on for the win.
Nigel Barclay, Tony Raftis, and all the crew from Prancing Horse Racing. There they are, lining the fence. The Budweiser Mustang takes it out in race 2. Great effort by Peters. He took out race 1 and a second place in race 2.
Yeah, good performance too also from Phil Polides, who'll come through. In fact, that just about may well move him into the lead at the championship again. So good performance from Phil, considering he didn't qualify all that well. And a great comeback from Mark King from the back of the grid to finish 8th outright in the Delphi King Springs Evo 5.
It's been a big weekend also in Class B, and Wayne Russell, there he is on course to take it out. He did it in race 1 and he does it again in race 2. Good effort for the guy from Newcastle. Second position in this one going to Anthony Robson.
And a good result too for Tim Lay in the VW coming through just ahead of Pilkington. But this is the race winner, John Bowe in the Mustang.
Yeah, what a weekend for John Bowe. He really enjoys driving and racing in the Century Batteries ranks. And as we mentioned, on debut, the car took pole position for this round and a race win. So a stunning performance, and the best is still yet to come from that car. Brett Peters home in 2nd, Gary Dean in 3rd, and Polides a good effort in 4th.
And first home in the sports touring class, of course, Wayne Russell in the BMW 323. Great result from him to take the win from Anthony Robson in the Toyota MR2. Then Tim Lay, Pilkington, Alan Shepherd, Colin Osborne, Coleman, Sue Hughes, and Peter Boylan rounding out the rest of the field.